In the late 1960s, Charles Manson, an ex-convict turned charismatic self-styled guru, assembled a group of young followers, often homeless or estranged youth, drawn into his commune-style cult known as the Manson family. The group lived mainly around the Spahn Ranch in California, using drugs and embracing Manson's bizarre mix of apocalyptic ideology, music obsession, and social rejection. Manson's ambition to break into the music industry, he had ties with the Beach Boys and producer Terry Melcher, faded when he was rejected. The result was bitterness and a shift toward darker, delusional visions. He began preaching about a coming race war he called Helter Skelter, borrowing the term from the Beatles' song to mean a violent, earth-shattering upheaval. The family's most notorious crimes occurred over 2 nights in early August 1969. On the night of August 8th to 9th, under Manson's direction, followers including Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, and Patricia Krenwinkel drove to 10050 Cielo Drive in Los Angeles, then the home of actress Sharon Tate, 8.5 months pregnant, her husband director Roman Polanski being abroad. They brutally murdered Tate, her unborn child, and 4 others, Jay Sebring, Abigail Folger, Wojciech Frykowski and Stephen Parent. The next night, August 9th to 10th, the group, joined by Manson and additional members, entered the home of supermarket executive Leno LaBianca and his wife Rosemary in Los Feliz. They tied up LaBianca and his wife, murdered them in a frenzy, and scrawled messages like "Death to Pigs" and "Helter Skelter" in the victims' blood on the walls. Manson's motive remains complex and debated. Prosecutor Vincent Bugliosi posited that the murders were meant to ignite a racial revolt, helter skelter, with blacks rising up and whites under siege. Others argue the killings were partly attempts to divert attention from earlier murders or to avenge perceived slights, such as Manson's rejection by the music business. Following the killings, law enforcement linked evidence, fingerprints, ballistics, and the infamous blood-scrawled slogans.
She was like a stranger to me, in other words.
Were issued. By 1970 the trial of Manson, Atkins, Krenwinkel and others began. In January 1971 the jury found them guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy for multiple counts of murder. Initially sentenced to death, the sentences were later commuted to life imprisonment when California briefly abolished the death penalty. Manson died in 2017 after spending decades in prison. The murders became a defining moment of 1960s America, the end of the peace and love era, the collapse of Hollywood glamour safety, and a symbol of radical cult violence. The phrase, Manson family, remains shorthand for sinister, charismatic control and murderous cult behavior. While 9 victims were officially linked to the Manson family in 1969, investigators believe more murders may be connected to the group. The story of Charles Manson and his followers is disturbing yet potent, a charismatic leader preying on vulnerable youths, mixing ideology and drugs, leading to unthinkable violence. It reminds us how cult dynamics, societal alienation, and delusional belief